Hi, my name is William J. I am 22 and I am a composer based in Eastman, and I grew up in a classical background. I started piano around the age of 10, 11-ish, and I've been slowly gaining my musical knowledge and practice over the years, and I am so thankful to be part of the Left Coast Chamber Ensemble.
My name is Chris Martin. I'm 22. I started composing in high school, freshman year of high school, and then became a composition major in college, and have been composing for about, I guess, 9 years now.
Yeah, I'm Evan Wright. I'm 21 years old, and I came up playing jazz, and I started, when I started at college, that's all I was doing. And then as I kind of got farther into the theory classes and stuff like that, I got really interested in composition. And so about a year ago, I started really, I added the composition major, and I've been really taking it seriously since then.
My name is Maile Pacumio. I am 21 years old. I am about to graduate San Diego State University this May with a degree in music composition.
My name's Sebastian. I'm 17 and I play the violin.
My name is Kevin Barba. I'm 23 years old. My musical background is in Latin American music. I celebrate my heritage, my culture, and who I am.
So the inspiration behind this piece, I'm still figuring out the title, so stay tuned. But the piece is about fencing, and I first initially got the inspiration when my younger brother was watching a lot of Olympic fencing several years ago, and I decided to kind of like watch them in my spare time, and I was inspired by the kinesthetic movements of how like the fencers like move their feet and the swords and when they parry and deflect, and just all of that movement kind of inspired something in my head, and I wanted to capture that moment into this new piece of work.
Yeah, so I often like to use visual art as a sort of guide or just starting off point for my pieces. So I was browsing some museum's website, right? And I find this painting called The Bubble Blowers. And I was reading about it, I was reading the description, and I saw that at that time, bubbles were a symbol of vanitas, which is this like art history concept that's basically about sort of the meaninglessness of life and how death is inevitable, so we shouldn't like worry about material things, and we shouldn't like, we're gonna die anyway, so like life sucks, right? Like it's all very dark, right? And I was like, well, my concept of bubbles is, you know, joy and discovery and exploration as a kid. So I guess I wanted to do something that played with those two sort of concepts of it, as well as sort of the sort of roundness and activity of bubbles, sort of bringing all that together as best I could with, you know, 10 minutes.
Yeah, so, okay, my piece is about, it's inspired by a series of poems by this poet named Hanif Abdurraqib. They're all in his collection. It's called A Fortune for Your Disaster. And it's like 12 poems, all with the same name. And they're called How Can Black People Write About Flowers at a Time Like This? And they all explore blackness in different ways and kind of complicate it and give it this real complexity. And to me, this piece is about how blackness has to exist in different spaces, in different ways. And so, like, how black joy has to exist next to sometimes like these like horrific conditions, and making a kind of making those two things like come together, because I feel like that's something that is like even bigger than blackness, and like it's just like a human thing, you know. So that's kind of what my piece is about.
So originally my piece is called Unrequited Spotlight. It's about finding the balance between your artistry and kind of tending to what the audience wants of you, or expectations like that. That was my original idea, but with the inspiration and help of Left Coast and Pathways and the mentors, I really went for a different direction, especially with my final piece. I want to go for more of something simple, and I think that's where it's going to be heading towards.
Yeah, so I really wanted to play around with consonant and dissonant sounds, and a lot of like inspiration from film scores.
So the inspiration behind my piece was based off of folkloric dancing from Mexico, specifically from Chihuahua, or known as estilo norteño. So it's based off of banda norteño and also baile folclórico from northern Mexico.
Oh, most excellent. So the mentors are so kind, thoughtful, and they give some of the most insightful advices I've ever had in a while. And the ensemble itself, they're very open to like just trying out stuff. For me, I'm still like kind of in the concept phase of the piece, and they're really open for me just like trying out different sounds and techniques. And overall, I just love the community, the composers, the mentors, and everyone in the staff that supports this and makes this happen. So thank you.
I'm very, very glad that I'm here. Just the whole, like having a whole weekend just focused on, you know, one piece, a reading session. It's been reading session, then like work, then wake up, do some more reading, and then just talk about it, and like seeing everyone's piece. It's just been, I haven't been this excited about composition in a really long time. It's been really, really gratifying.
Oh, it's been amazing. This is definitely the highest level ensemble I've ever had the pleasure of having my music played by, and all of the mentor composers are world class. And for me personally, it's really exciting because I get to work with Josiah Catalan, and he teaches at my school, and Castro used to teach at my school. And I've been working with Nicolàs, and I didn't know him before this program, but just he has a completely different kind of understanding of the music than like really anyone I've ever worked with. And so it's a completely new perspective for me, and I think it's been very helpful.
Pathways has been one of my favorite experiences so far. I love how everyone is so welcoming and friendly. I came into this program with no expectations, but now I'm very fulfilled and happy, and I cannot wait for the concert and the recording sessions.
It's been really fun. I got to hear a bunch of things that I normally never hear in other pieces, like experimental stuff, which is something that is not particularly my style, but it's really interesting to hear. And how everyone's super different, which I found really interesting.
This experience has been phenomenal, I would say the least. Left Coast, and being part of this program for the first year, being in the first year of the cohort, is such an honor. And I strive to promote more opportunities like this in my own career and for others.